First on our schedule is our county attorney, Dan Sigler.
Thank you. Not a lot to cover today. As we talked about, we have that Whitehead suit resolved, and that will be actually completed and dismissed this week, hopefully. And the plaintiffs have to sign some documents for me, but once they do, then we'll dismiss it in the courts, and that will be one down. I see in the Terrence McKinney case, we have a summary judgment filed on our behalf. Summary judgment is where we say there's no issue of law and there's no basis for this claim. If the court grants it, that case will be over as well. You know, it's hard to predict whether they get granted or not. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. This one's, as much as I've been able to read so far, sounds pretty good. So hopefully that one will be gone. What else? The Bockelman matter, I think we've resolved. We have that deed to give her a tax deed. I went through just to explain what I did, I went through the tax laws to see if they're on the tax sale, to see if there was any problems with us doing it that way. You know, the county really doesn't have title. To just refresh your memory, that was where through kind of inadvertence and mistake and miscommunication, the timing wasn't met on the presenting the deed, and so we've just fixed that. The best way I thought we could fix it was just to redo the deed, and now it's in the able hands of the auditor, and she and the treasurer are going to sign it, and the Bockelmans will be happy, and the property now there's probably, I told Mrs. Bockelman they're going to, if there's any accumulation on taxes since this problem arose, and they're going to have to bring them current, and that should be good there. So that's that. So I think that's all I really have. Right Stuff contract, we had to kind of renegotiate some terms of that. That's that software contract, and as usual, there's a lot of, I don't know why the software contracts seem to be the worst, but those and truck leases, I guess, but they're the most onerous terms against us. And so you gotta, every one of those, you just kind of got to wade through and kind of get the worst terms out of there so we have a fighting chance if we end up having a dispute. So I think we got it where it needs to be, and we can go ahead and sign that as well. And then that BCS contract, I reviewed that, and that is okay. Good.
Thank you.
So.
I think we've approved both of those, haven't we, as far as commissioners?
Pending, was pending his approval.
Okay. That it?
That's it, sir. Yes, sir.
Done?
No.
I do have something, we'll have Scott here pretty soon, and if you stick around for that, we'll kind of get a discussion on the Loon Lake situation. Okay, next on the agenda, let's go with Amy Motter. Credit card request.
As probation, we're required to travel a lot for maintain our education hours each. We have been utilizing Community Corrections credit card for most of those trips, and I'm just asking that. I've had to use my own personal debit card to make hotel reservations, and then sometimes I don't always get to the credit card, so then I'm incurring this expense on my own personal credit card. So I'm just asking that probation be issued a credit card.
Discussion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Got a motion to approve?
We're trying to do away with credit cards.
Well, I think we were, but, you know, they're just situations that, like Community Corrections and Highway has their own credit card, I think. So there are certain ones that we were.
Second.
Okay, we got a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same. Thank you.
So we have, is that like through Star Bank or something? Oh, okay. So it's all on the same account?
It's all on the same account, correct?
Oh,
That's
okay.
how we had it set up this time, so there
Okay.
wasn't any issues like we had previously.
Yeah, right, okay. All right, good.
I know she was coming through that, but she's not, so we can do that last.
Okay. Debbie Beers, voting locations.
I think I sent a copy for all of you to see, and there are no changes for this election. So I don't know if you have any questions at all concerning them. This is the original right here. I would prefer that you sign. I'm gonna go ahead and give that to you, George.
Make a motion, we approve the voting locations.
Got a motion?
Second.
Got a second? Any further discussions? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same. Thank you.
Yeah.
So this means there's an election this year?
There is a small
A
one.
small one.
Yeah.
I figured that's what was going on when you brought that up here.
I had the blue ink from EMA used to make us do everything in
Yeah.
blue ink.
Is the
Yeah.
top,
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Oh, you're kind of needy, aren't you?
thank you very much.
Thank you, Debbie. Okay, next on the agenda, we have Scott Wagner, a well exemption. And also, we have another issue that we're dealing with.
Do you want to do the issue before, so Dan will be finished? or- 'Cause I have to
He's
leave.
going to have to stick around anyway,
Yeah,
so.
I'm
it doesn't
hanging around
really matter.
anyway.
Okay.
No problem.
Can I have 10 minutes then to go get this paperwork done and then come back?
Sure.
Okay. So today we have Mr. Kaufman, who's here today. He's adding onto his house, a rather significant addition to the house, making the property nicer, and adding to the house, and have in front of you emails with regards to G&K well drilling, indicating that they'll be able to access the well. Mr. Kaufman does have plenty of property. If this well would go to bad to drill a new well in accordance with the current ordinance.
I so move be approved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same.
You want to skip that when we go back?
Yeah, go ahead and we'll work you in afterwards. Utility permit requests. Is that, Brandon's not here, so.
Right, but he gave it to me and he did already review it and he approved it.
Is this one to retire the gas service at Geyser Road?
Yes.
I guess, I don't have a problem with it, but I just thought that was kind of odd. How do you retire gas service? Just put a cap on it? I don't know.
Huh.
And why does it need retired?
Yeah, why would it have to come to us? I guess it's on the right of way.
What is?
So move.
Second.
Got a motion, we've got a second. Any further discussions? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same. Okay, that's been approved then.
Yeah, there's no- yeah, straight.
It's going quick here. Why don't we look at the minutes right now?
You want to do that reappointment?
What's that?
Did you want to do this reappointment?
She's not here, so
Oh.
it really doesn't.
Okay.
Do that right after this.
This goes back to Ms. Auditor. Minutes?
Okay, we have our August 15th, 2016 minutes to be approved. Any changes, additions, subtractions?
I would like one word added, if you don't mind, on the last page, the last sentence.
Okay,
I would like that to be the Wheeler Add to Work Scholarship Grant instead of just a grant, if you would, please.
got it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Outside of that, I was so moved to be approved.
Okay, we've got a motion to approve with the change of Commissioner Ruthlake stated in regard to the Wheeler Scholarship Grant. Got a second? Any further discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same. Thank you. Gonna be a record meeting here pretty soon.
Yes.
Oh, Jessica is here, good. Okay, next on the agenda, we'd like to recognize Jessica Hockmeyer. We've been very fortunate to have Jessica. She does a great job for us, and she's been inducted into the Indiana Voter Registration Association Hall of Fame. And we'd like to present this proclamation, whereas the Indiana Voter Registration Association is a public benefit organization whose purpose is to educate its members on issues relating to voter registration, and whereas standardizing and improving voter registration procedures statewide, and whereas networking with members and the state election division to interpret the state law, and whereas working with state legislators to enhance and clarify statutes relating to voter registration. And whereas Whitley County, Indiana is fortunate to be blessed with Jessica Hockmeyer, who's been named to the 2016 Indiana Voter Registration Association Hall of Fame after being nominated by her peers. And Jessica, if you want to come up and get this one.
Anybody got a
We
camera?
appreciate all you do for us.
It's recorded.
You're
True.
welcome. Yeah, sure.
Oh, she's
Yeah,
gonna get
there you
one. There she goes. I don't want to.
I'm so proud of her. Thank you.
Jessica, I don't think I can get over to check my name, so check my name for me, will you?
You'll be all right.
Congratulations.
Yes, congratulations and thank you, Deb. We appreciate all that you get, both of you do. Scott, not here yet?
Let me talk about claims.
Yeah, let's go with claims right
Yeah.
now.
Okay. Yeah, there were a lot of claims. There wasn't anything that, claim-wise, that I questioned the claim. I do question the process. So stay with me a minute, because I know we're probably doing it the way the law says to do it, but I find it difficult to have to sign everyone and still look them over. Sometimes I feel like I'm not doing a good job looking them over. I guess I'm just wondering if there isn't a way that we can go through claims and maybe sign one paper says all the claims in this batch are okay.
Okay.
Could you check on that for me?
Yeah.
Because then I'd feel more like I'm comfortable looking at the actual claim, because that's what we're supposed to be doing. That's what we all started out to do one time. So, the other thing, it was no big deal, but I didn't have the register to go by, and it didn't come till this morning by email.
She told me she forgot
I
to
know,
send it.
so I would, well, I guess the third finding, and again, I don't know how this works, but we had 7 claims for CenturyLink, 6 claims for NIPSCO, and can they just be on one claim?
I think it's because it's for different departments.
So they have to go, so it has to go by the department, not by the,
Right.
okay.
Because
Well, that
they
answers
pay
that.
out of their budget. You know,
That answers that, and I don't have to tell these guys how many Columbia City utility claims, you know. Yeah, there's lots of them, so. The only other one I was gonna mention was the one Dan already mentioned, I saw where we got a claim for the settlement. I guess I didn't see anything else, guys. I would make a motion that we approve the claims.
Okay, we got a motion to approve.
Second,
We
the
got a
question.
second with discussion.
Evidently Scott Schmidt had a wreck accident. Is that always, or what is the reason it goes to the Indiana State Budget Agency?
See a claim. Didn't see a claim.
What does that State Department have to do with
Do you know on that yet?
An accident report. Had to file an accident report with the state budget agency for $40.
I don't know what that would be.
Which one was it on?
I didn't see it. I did not see a claim to the Indiana State Budget Agency.
You got me on that one.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Did you request one maybe and we
Which
had to
one
pay
was
for it? Rather
Wait,
than,
what's
It's a
the date?
thick one.
The state budget agency, though, they must have jurisdiction.
Page
over-
5.
If that's the case, though, we'd see a bunch of them because we
Right.
request.
I just had
You know what I'm
never
saying?
seen one in
Yeah, I never have
16
either.
years come through that way.
I don't remember
I
seeing the
thought
state budget
maybe-
agency.
Maybe it had been changed some way.
Okay, that's through the sheriff's department and it's accident report. She has to do something for that.
Well, it's only $40, but $40, $40.
Yeah, so it seems like a lot.
yeah.
Some
That's a
reports too
question
much.
I have
Well,
on.
none of my questions
I would
was just,
second
does she
the
have to do
motion.
it to
We'll have
pay
to-
for everyone?
Motion has been seconded, and we will discuss
Jody.
with the sheriff to find out exactly
Yeah.
where that went
Hey,
as far
Gina,
as
that would be
state
for
budget
Jody, right?
agency.
I'm gonna ask just to make
Any
sure we're
further
paying
discussion?
everyone.
All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same. Thank you. Laurel, did you have something? Okay. Dr. Hatcher?
No, I'm just here as a citizen and to be here.
Thank you.
Hey, Laurel, I need you to sign this tax deed on Bosselman, if you can come up here after. Might as well catch you while you're here.
See if I can hurry Scott.
Do you-
Yeah.
Is the notary here?
I am.
I don't want to be questioned on the witness stand about this.
You're covered.
Okay.
Definitely gonna know that.
He's gonna know.
I'm gonna get
That's
Amy
not me,
first.
Just so you know.
Okay.
She just
Yeah,
left.
that'd be okay.
Okay.
Okay. Take
Just a
one.
copy of it.
See, now you go on your busy day, you don't have to be bothered by big claims. Thank you.
Look at him. Oh, thank you.
Amy Biggs, EMA Director.
He's gonna take a seat beside you.
Just wanted to make you, as a courtesy, aware of a transfer request that will be presented to the county council tomorrow. Line item budget 12502 was established in the budget in 2016 prior to my appointment. And the amount in that budget line item right now is $1,000. That line item was established for testing of an annual physical for hazardous materials team members, because there is an annual requirement through OSHA that they be tested and certified. Willie County has not had an active technician team for quite some time, even though that was established in the budget. So my request is to transfer those funds, and I've worked with Jana on the appropriate measures to take to do so, to transfer that to the training fund, which is 37001, to fund the educational requirements that I've had as a result of this job description and that are required through the state. So as a courtesy, I wanted to make you aware of that request, and that will be presented tomorrow at County Council. And I'll be happy to answer any questions regarding that or any other subject matter you might have.
I think as far as that, Amy, but you had requested CPR training, assistance with that, with the hospital, and I haven't gotten a hold of them yet, but I am going to get a hold of the hospital to see if they're willing to work with us on that.
Okay, I think that would be a fair request. What Commissioner Schrumpf was talking about is I provide hazardous materials training free of charge to hospital personnel and their EMT classes that are going through. In exchange for that, I think it would be a nice courtesy if there could be an exchange of training as it relates to our county employees for CPR and AED training. So I've outreached through Commissioner Schrumpf to check those channels of contact to see if that'll be something that could be coordinated. On one other side topic, I had made you aware a few months ago that we were in the process of identifying our radios through the state so that we could move forward. Janelle Schmidt and I will be having a conference call this Friday at 9 a.m. In regards to those verifications, and we're working with J&K and some of the other departments. There's some radios out there that are unaccounted for as it relates to the state system as we prepare for what they call the P25 upgrade, which will require all radios be identified on the state, so there's interoperability amongst agencies. So we're in the process, again, still of validating that, but we do have a follow-up conference call this Friday.
Amy, what is that P25 upgrade? Is that just identifying the radios? Is that all that is, or is there more to that?
There is more technical complications than that. Each radio has to receive a series of upgrades to make it compatible with what the state is pushing forward. They really want movement to 100% compliance on 800 megahertz. But unfortunately, there's a lot of communities, ours being one of them, that has limitations with having good coverage area with 800 megahertz. But that is one of the phases as the state and across the nation looks at interoperability with radio communications and pushing this through. This is one of the first phases of that process. But it is probably far more above my head as far as technical ability as well to describe it effectively.
So are you saying that within a certain amount of time that we'll probably have to go to the 800 megahertz?
That has always been the initiative that was pushed forth from the state, and that is forthcoming. I mean, amateur radio, they said was going to be a dying breed, but there's still a fair number of people that operate on amateur radio. But VHF as well, as they continue to restrict the bandwidth that's capable of transmitting those radio frequencies, that in of itself is making it obsolete, where 800 megahertz is going to become the primary radio frequency to transmit. So yes, eventually, but to put a timeline on that, that's, again, outside of my ability to explain that. So
But it's on the horizon.
it is on the horizon. It's something that we will need to monitor and continue to prepare for, and we look at our budgets in the ongoing years to set aside capital improvement funds to be able to accommodate those needs.
Are we updating our radios as we go now, or?
We've been trying to use those in that manner. Unfortunately, there's still quite a large resistance from the volunteer fire departments because they feel like they have more appropriate and larger coverage area with VHF, given the placement of our towers and some of the lack of infrastructure that we've had over the course of the years. There's a couple of other alternatives that we can look at, and something that I think, again, as we look at our economic growth in our community, would be another opportunity to enhance our coverage with facilities that are being built. If, again, there could be an agreement that through that development, whether we give them a tax abatement or other means of offsetting their initial costs, that possibly we could have installation of radio towers and/or repeaters at their sites that will enhance our coverage area, therefore making it more comprehensive in our area. That's just one idea that some other communities have looked at and explored and have been successful with, as a way to offset the large cost of installing a tower or renting a tower or leasing a tower in some other means. So there's other opportunities that are out there, but things that, again, fostering brainstorming ideas on how best to provide for the service in the coverage area for the safety of our responders. Is that the heart of that?
I think we've discussed the missing radios before, but with our county attorney here today. Do we have fairly good ideas of where they were at one time?
We do. What's nice about the state is they, every time a radio is turned on, it transmits to a tower.
Yeah.
And that in of itself transmits to the state. So they have best idea of its last known location when it was transmitted. Some of the problems that we're having with the radios that we are not able to find right now is they have not been turned on. So that means the radio could be in somebody's personal possession. The battery may have died at this point in time, so they haven't charged it or turned it on. Therefore, it's not hitting the tower and it's not being recorded at a last known location. But for the majority of the radios, they have them isolated based upon the fire department, the sheriff's department, the police department, EMS coroner, were last known locations for those radios. So that's what we're sequentially going through now and identifying those and cross-referencing those with the serial numbers and the radio type. It's just a very tedious process.
To your knowledge, did any former EMA employees or volunteers, were they ever assigned any of these radios?
The record keeping is sketchy on that. I have radios that are unaccounted for that are not recorded in former volunteer folders saying they were issued this equipment, but I have knowledge from other people that run around in those same groups that says, I'm pretty sure they have a radio that belongs to that. I've worked with Sheriff Gatton. If I have credible information, he's willing to send one of his detective units out to make contact with those individuals and request the return of that equipment. But without physical evidence, obviously we have some limitations as far as gaining that equipment back.
The reason I mentioned with the attorney being here, so we probably don't have enough for a search warrant then. Okay. That's
We
what
got
I was-
enough lawsuits, right?
Yeah, that's right. We don't need any more.
Don't go accusing people of
Yeah. Yeah,
More
we don't want to do
lawsuits.
that. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions, gentlemen? Okay.
Thank you, Amy.
Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Do we want to make a favorable pass for that, or is that, I guess we really don't have to on that.
It's only a transfer within
Okay.
her own budget, so it should.
Thank you, Amy.
Goes.
Mr. Wagner, we've been dealing personally with an issue out at Loon Lake, and you've been dealing with this since May, I think, is? March, okay. Could you kind of bring our attorney up to?
Sure. Yeah, we had a complaint in our office regarding a property at Loon Lake and for junk and trash. Went out in there and took a look at that, took pictures, did recognize that that property was in violation of junk and trash, at least how I see it as the inspector. Sent a letter to the gentleman regarding that, gave him a 30-day notice, which is typically what I give people for cleaning up small violations. Much of the violations were boat parts, motors, railings, barrels that they use for pontoons, things like that. Wasn't a significant, large matter, could be easily taken care of in a weekend or two, in my opinion. The gentleman was rather irate once he got the letter. Has left me over the course of years, or course of months, several verbally exciting messages on the voicemail, which I've recorded and kept for posterity. Said that he was not going to clean up his property and that, we could take him to court, whatever we needed to do. He did come in and request a copy of that complaint, which he can under law,
Right.
and I gave him a copy. He signed for it. Within a couple days of him getting that complaint, he moved all of his stuff that was in the back of the yard to the front of the yard, so that would be in direct eyesight of the complainant. Did then report to me on the phone that he did that on purpose. So what we have now is much of what he had in the backyard is in the front yard. He still had some existing violations in the backyard. We addressed them with a letter from Lindsay, probably about June. We sent a letter. By the end of July, it appeared that he had cleaned up most of that backyard. He only had one minor issue left. Sent a letter. He did not fix that issue. However, we decided between me and the commissioners that we aren't going to take him to court over one little teeny issue. However, the amount of things that he has in the front yard is still there. They're upsetting to the neighbors. He's also cut down some tree limbs. Quantity of them in the front yard, left them there now for about a month. They're upset about that. So George and I met with them last Friday to address some of their concerns. But looking over the junk and trash ordinance, there really, in my opinion, is nothing else that we can do that would meet the qualifications for junk and trash. And I think if we went to court, it'd be a waste of taxpayer dollars. However, it may resolve some problems if we went to court, but that's where we are right now.
And I did share the pictures with Dan.
The initial ones, yeah, from March.
Yeah, these are the ones that they brought in
Okay.
Friday.
Oh, yes. Mhm.
So what about all those tree limbs, which does come under the definition of junk and
Well,
trash? Would you
we
agree?
looked at the ordinance, and the ordinance talks about brush piles.
Right.
I guess I need more direction and more specificity from the commissioners if they want me to think of that as a brush pile. They're basically just scattered. He cut them off. They fell from the tree. They've not been gathered in any sort of reference. They've just laid there. Maybe
Right.
half a dozen to a dozen tree limbs.
To me, when we enforce ordinances, you have to take a global look at the county.
Yeah.
I have nothing in this
Right.
fight, I don't know anything about this, but if you're gonna look at one tree and one person's yard,
Yep.
which could be deemed to be junk and trash, then is that similar to how you look at the rest of the county? Because you have to, we have to enforce these ordinances, in my view, even-handedly.
Correct.
What's good for one person is good for another person.
Right.
We can't be helping people out with a neighbor dispute
Right.
just because they don't like something that's going on, even though they may have a legitimate claim.
Right.
Some people have their own civil claims that they need to pursue those with their own lawyer.
Right.
We can't do that for everybody.
Right.
So I guess, Scott, my question to you would be, universally, as you look at your duties in the county, is a tree that's in the estate that this one is in, from the photo that I've been given, would it be common for you to issue a violation notice on that in someone's yard?
No, and I never have.
Okay?
I mean, this is an area where there's densely populated. It's still, though, a county in general. If I were to go out in the country, out where I live, and you have acres out there, and somebody cut down a tree, it could sit like that for a number of months, and I would not consider that junk and trash.
Yeah.
But I have not ever gotten a complaint about that either.
Right. Well, this is certainly unsightly,
It sure is.
and I wouldn't want it next to me.
Right.
It would make me unhappy, so I guess you need to be guided by what your own standards are, and I trust you and your standards, and
When I look at, when it talks about a brush pile, I mean, I'm looking at something that maybe been fairly long-standing, fairly large in scope, something that can harbor or protect vermin or animals of some sort. In my opinion, that picture does not represent a ability for, a fox or raccoons or something to burrow there and stay there for a matter of time. And it's only been maybe 45 days since these limbs have been down.
so you're really saying to me that it's possible that if it went on for a long period of time,
Correct.
then it might bring it within, but it's not there yet.
Right, I don't believe it at this time. If you were to take those limbs, gather them into a pile, leave them there for several months, I would then say it maybe meets the burden of the ordinance. But at this point, I know a lot of people that cut down a tree, and it might take them, a couple of months to get it all cleaned up, especially a large tree like that.
And is this the way you would answer questions in a trial? As you just answered
Typically.
it now? Okay. So my point in asking that question is and I'm not taking a side or the other on this, because I do find this offensive to look at, but if he files a violation, and what Scott, I think, is saying is, if he goes in, he won't be Judge Fall right now, but Judge Voles now for a while, but the judge is going to ask him those questions. Do you think it's a violation? Scott's going to be honest. He's going to answer them honestly, and I don't know whether we'll win the case or not, but it'll make it a lot more difficult to win because it doesn't seem like it's ripe at the moment. It was ripe, but that part of it's been fixed.
Correct.
Yeah.
We're trying to look at not only the letter of the law, but the spirit of it too. We're trying to protect the environment as well as public health with these rules. I don't believe, Indiana being a home rule state, that this is not a state like California where you might have aesthetic laws or things that
Right.
you'd have downtown Fort Wayne with housing.
Right.
So I'm trying to, balance owners' protection against intrusive government versus,
Which I agree with.
Right.
I agree you should be doing it that way. So I mean, it's kind of a close call, but it's not something that, it's going to be hard to get relief in the courts, right, I think, right now.
Dan, there is an association involved here. How much responsibility and authority does the association have in this before the county gets involved in anything?
Well, okay, what are the alternatives? Let's ask ourselves, if the county can't help or won't help because of circumstance, and remember, we're talking about an ordinance violation here. That's what we're talking about. Is this an ordinance violation or not? We're not talking about, is this look terrible or is it a nuisance? Everybody agrees it looks terrible. The association or an individual who's a neighbor and affected by this could bring their own civil action based upon a public nuisance. And they could get injunction from the court. They could seek that. Now, they're going to have to shell out their own money for their own lawyer and use the court for that. But that's a different standard than an ordinance violation, which I think would be clear and convincing evidence. Whereas an ordinance would just be the burden of proof, what if it nudged it one way or another. They'd have a better chance, in my opinion, in a private action than they would in a public ordinance action, because there's no guarantees. You get that one cleaned up, and as we so often see, then there's another pile of junk a month later, and that's a new one. You keep going through that process. That can go on forever. There really isn't a lot of relief with that process. Better if they engage in their own litigation about it. I'm not trying to encourage litigation, but there's more of a toll to me for that. Now, that's going to cost people money, and a lot of people may not have money or may not want to spend it that way, but that's the reality of it. So,
yeah, typically the times that we've gone to court and won judgments based upon acres of junk and trash, man-made things that people have collected over the years, have been given plenty of time, usually at least a year, and they've refused to or unable to. So I didn't feel it was worth or practical to go to court so that we could be turned down by the judge to prove a point to the homeowners association that we can't do anything about this.
right. Yeah, I think my suggestion is keep your eye on it, and if someone like this becomes spiteful and makes it worse, then we can act. But Lindsay, you're consulting with her about it as well.
Right, well, Lindsay has gone to the prosecutor's office. Liz Deckard now is our attorney. I have kept her apprised of this. When you say spiteful, like I had repeated, the gentleman did told me in over the phone that he did this on purpose because of the complaint that was initiated.
So there would be good
There's
evidence.
your problem.
Yes.
It's personality.
Right.
It's not,
Yeah,
it's one neighbor
personality.
against the other.
Right.
And I tell you, I've lived out in that area for 42 years, and you're never gonna solve it
Yeah.
until one of them dies. Then it will be a family deal.
That's
But
right.
it's just personality. I'm going to show you, I can make you do this.
Yeah.
And he says, I'm gonna show you, I don't have to do what you say. And it's just a nonsense. We've had them before. We've had them before.
Yeah, you can't be seen as taking a side, and we don't want to take a side, so I mean, that's my stuff you already know is my
Well, I
advice.
mean, he has cleaned up the property. Everybody saw the pictures before and after, so I think he has remedied that to some extent. I think that's about the best we're gonna get at this point without incurring a lot more
Right.
time and money.
Well, we've got an ordinance that's 11 years old somewhere in that area, and quite frankly, has worked very well, in my humble opinion. And one of the reasons I believe it's worked well is because Scott's been very consistent about how he applied it, and I think he's being consistent here too. I don't want to take sides either, but I think there's a difference between cutting limbs off a tree and piling brush up. I think pile is, to me, because a brush pile, to me, is a health hazard if someone decides to set it on fire. It could damage somebody's property, it could cause someone to have an asthma attack, there's any number of things that could happen. But if the guy, and I haven't seen the pictures, but if the guy just cut branches down and left them lay, I don't feel like he's piled them, so I guess I'm just saying, I'm gonna continue with Scott. I think he's done a great job. I believe if he felt like there's a violation of the ordinance, then file the papers. And if there's not, and the folks aren't happy, then it becomes a civil process, I think.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you, Scott. Appreciate your time. Dr. Hatcher, thank you. Okay, we have an appointment to the South Whitley Community Public Library Board. I think everybody has a copy of that.
Yes, sir. I think it's a reappointment.
Reappointment, yes. Shannon Fortman to a second term of 4 years. She's Secretary of the Library Board right now and expressed her desire to continue to serve as the community as a board member.
So maybe she be reappointed.
Got a motion, we got a second. Any further discussions? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same. Just one. Okay, 2017 meeting calendar. I think, Dan, I think we should be okay with you. Let's go with the holiday schedule first.
So,
Any suggestions, any changes?
well,
You can keep going.
have the employees seen this?
No, not yet. Nope.
It just seems like every year we approve it, and then, I think it looks great, I'll be honest with you. I think it looks like it should. I know every year we approve it, and then they come back and want to make changes, so.
No, they haven't seen it this year. I have had requests for it already, though, so people could start making
Sure
plans.
they do, yeah, I get it.
For
Yeah,
2017,
no,
but no.
I get it, want to plan vacations
I
and
can
stuff.
tell you, since I've been here, the only feedback that I ever received was that they wanted Good Friday off. And I know that's been in there ever since, so.
Well, our advantage for next year is there's no elections.
Correct.
Yeah, it's only 13
Makes
instead
a
of
big
14.
difference.
And that's huge, you
Yeah.
know. Like I said, I personally like the looks of it. I'd make a motion and we approve it. It's just that somehow it just always seems like somebody says, oh, don't do that. So, I don't know.
Well, I guess my thought on that is that it's our responsibility to come up with the schedule and.
Then I'll make a motion and we approve the, no, I do it, but wait, I gotta stop for a second. Then we have 5 and 2 or 4 and 2 or something. We always have 2 holiday schedules.
That's sheriff's.
That's Sheriff's
Yeah.
Department through them. They'll bring that.
I'll do that separately. I'll make a motion, we approve the holiday schedule for 2017 for non-law enforcement
Right.
folks.
Okay, we got a motion?
I abstain because I don't plan on following it.
Okay, well, you have
Well, the
an
bottom line
extension?
said you get every day off, so I don't know.
I'll second that. Any further discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand, opposed, the same.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go with the payroll schedule for 2017. I think everybody's got that in front of them. Any discussion?
There's no change in the philosophy, right? It's just, it's 2 pays a month, or is it every other week?
26 pays.
26 pays, that's every other week. Yep, okay. Motion to approve payroll schedule.
A motion?
No, I'll second if you want to send me a paycheck.
We got a second.
Which one? Let's put an X. Let's put an X down.
The first of the year, we'll send you one.
That's right. That's right, promise.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same. Thank you.
Oh, really quick, I did want to give you guys the heads up. Next year, when we bring the payroll schedule to you, there will be 27 pays, not 26. We're getting that really extra pay.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Whose crazy idea is that?
You get one too.
I think it's great. A motion to approve.
Okay, Pam, did you have anything?
I do,
Oh, wait a minute.
oh, you got one
County
more, don't
council?
you? That's what I thought, you had one more.
I didn't see that.
Motion to approve the scheduled meetings for 2017.
That's for county council?
Do I know they're right? I don't know.
And commissioners, both. Yeah.
Okay. County council and commissioners.
Yep.
We've got a motion. Got a second, I'll second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same. Thank you.
I do have a request to use county facilities for September 24th through Sharon Geiger, the use of the parking lot. We are having a big sidewalk block party for Art in the Alley. So they are going to be overflowing a little bit this time in the parking lot, but it's a block party for Art in the Alley on September the 24th, which is Saturday.
Did that release ever work on that other deal we did?
Yes,
Toledo.
thank you. Got it, yep.
So are they asking that we keep all of our cars out of the parking lot? Is that
They
what-
did not say that at this point. They are not going to block the alley, because I told them there has to be access there for the alley.
Right.
But they're just going to use a portion of the upfront area. I
Probably
believe the
won't be too many
handicap
cars out
spots
there.
open as well.
Yeah, we'd only have the building department and health department probably.
I know,
Did you
should've.
say-
I
Leave it
did
out
it, I
there.
saved it.
Yeah, that's right, they do. There are some.
What do
Well,
you-
we
what'd
could
you
put
say?
out, we could put out a note to the departments we know park there over the weekend, ask them to just use the far end of the employee parking lot.
Yeah, then the sheriff and Craig Center were the only ones that we knew of. And maintenance suggested we put up some cones too, just so that they know what their boundaries are at this point. They being the block party of where they can go. So,
I don't see anything on here about breastfeeding, so are we gonna, it's not gonna be a breastfeeding?
not in the alley, hopefully.
I just so move it if you.
Got a motion to approve. We've got a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same. Thank you.
And one last thing, which Don and Brandon both have reviewed, an on-call policy for the highway department. We have already started that process with the employees per Brandon. Take a moment to read this.
And I will tell you, it's something that Michael and I talked about, and it just never came to fruition. I just always felt like somebody needs to be available to do anything it needs done and not have everybody come in for a sign that needs repaired or anything, so I think it was done. I only asked for one change. The question was posed to me this morning where it says the employee on call is required. At that time, it said the employee on call is required to carry a cell phone or device at all times. Well, that makes it sound like they have to have their own, but they don't. The department provides radio or cell phone that was formerly used by the former foreman. Whew. So they won't have to, they'll just have to take it with them when they're on call, so.
If, I haven't had a chance to read this till now, so
Yeah.
make a motion to table.
Table?
I had till next time.
Sure.
But I want to ask, and not having opportunity to read it till now, is it in here that if I'm on call and I can make a deal with you to switch on calls, is that allowed on this? In other words, I'm on call this Saturday,
I
but
got
maybe
you.
I got a conflict, and you say, hey, I'll take it if you take this one, because is there anything in here, or do you need that in there? Because I know REMC and some of the other, if you can find somebody to take your on-call time,
It was the same way at the hospital.
Yeah.
If you were scheduled for call this weekend, but you can't, and you found somebody, it was approved, and I think it should be approved, if that's
What
the
I
case.
have in here, and what Brandon approved was, 1, 2, 3, fourth paragraph where it says overtime compensation, the very last sentence. Justification must be provided to the highway director or highway foreman to validate all on-call duty activity.
Must be required to validate all, okay.
doesn't say anything about
It
exchange.
doesn't say switching, but they have to go through the
I think-
highway director or foreman.
I really agree. I think I see what you're saying in there too, but I just think the employee should have an opportunity to exchange with another willing employee.
Especially we're doing the policy here, you might as well put it in the policy.
Yeah.
Might as well.
With the
Might as well.
supervisors, with the department head's approval.
Right.
Yeah, no, I think the department head needs to understand if he thinks Sam Brown's on call and he's not, why?
Okay.
I think
They
he's,
can't get him, it's just like I have a granddaughter who works in ER, she went off 2 or 3 weeks ago on the weekend. Everybody was kind of booked up, and so she had to work. I mean, if you can't
That's
get
sad, isn't it?
someone.
yeah,
I see your point, yeah.
that's sad, yeah, but unfortunately true.
And then
And as they,
we'll bring it back
Yeah.
in tonight.
that was a motion, I make a second.
Got a motion and a second to table this employee on-call policy for the highway department.
Okay.
All those in favor, raise your right hand, opposed, same.
And that's all I had, thank you.
Thanks. Jana,
I just wanted to give you an update. The budget process is going well. Tomorrow will be the Whitley County public hearing for the budget, and then on September 14th, it's Wednesday, 8 a.m. will be the solid waste public
Okay.
hearing.
Oh.
So,
What do you have set for adoption meeting?
I believe it's October 4th.
Their regular meeting?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
And the other thing is the perf for Matt, if you want to talk about that, since we did get a response back from perf at this time.
Okay.
No.
Did you want to say something to Dan? Here, let me
Yeah.
grab him.
we gotta
Yeah,
get
that's,
Dan involved in that one.
Yeah.
Ask Dan about that,
yeah.
whenever you're ready.
We wanted to discuss the Matt Winger perp situation. Mr. Winger has asked that we consider giving him that year and a half of time for the perf purposes. And we had the discussion that if we got some kind of a letter back from perf, that they would approve that. We did get a email back from them. And their consideration was that since there is no real firm determination on this, that they would side on the employee's side. And so we wanted to make sure that you were okay with that, and I think we have to make sure that the commissioners are okay.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I think that was the reason for my concern, was that one circumstance that we might get in trouble with the state for doing that. But if PERF's okay with it and they've said it in writing, that's what I wanted to see.
Yeah.
Then I think, I mean, it's up to you guys then whether you want to do it still, but I don't have a legal, I don't see a legal issue with it.
Okay, but you'll come up with some kind of an agreement between the county and Mr. Winger to make sure that we don't,
Yeah.
I don't, Perf said that they wouldn't come back at us on interest or any kind of fees, but we just want to make sure that this doesn't come back at us.
Right, I can do an agreement. I need remember when he was on the agenda for the meeting, there was some kind of sheet that he had presented about a certain, I need to see that.
We'll put-
Yeah,
we'll
does
put
Janet,
all-
or does
yeah.
Vicki have that, you think?
She might.
Okay.
If Vicki has, if she can email that to me, and then I'll draft something for Matt to sign, and it will be.
Let's see if I can get approval from the commissioners here.
It's up to them, but yeah.
Yeah, any discussion on that? Any?
To me, I think there's two things. One, are we gonna say, yep, he was here? And two, are we gonna pay the money? I think they're two separate issues, so. Any thoughts on that, Dan?
Well, I thought, yes, because I was making an assumption that what his representation at the meeting was, he said he would pay it all. And so the county would have no financial obligation, and that would, that's what I give my approval based upon that fact.
And legally, we can do that then?
They told her that we have to pay it. We are responsible for our portion. He is not able to
But-
pay ours.
Okay.
And that was gonna be like $400, was it?
900.
$900. Yeah, I mean, it's, and that's your guys' call. I mean, can you do it? Yeah, but I'm not surprised that Perf said, well, we gotta pay our own. So that doesn't make my opinion different. It means now if you approve it, you understand that's $900 going out of the county coffers for something that we can't establish with any evidence or any certainty. He seemed like a straight-up guy. He didn't look like.
He's a good guy. I don't think there's any argument there.
Yeah.
But I just think there's two issues. One, and we've established, well, we can say, okay, you were here, but the other's the $900, and I think that's a separate issue.
There's the one, I know that the concern that was going along in the conversation before was the precedence issue of what happens.
Exactly.
I mean, in other words, if you ask me this question, and I'm not saying, I mean, but if you just ask me, Dan, are we obligated to pay this? A simple answer, no, you're not.
Right.
No, you're not.
Right.
Should you pay it? That's a different question, and that might have a different answer. But you would not, if he came here and said, you must pay this because I was employed, well, no, there's no evidence of it. So you're not obligated to pay it, but is it the right and fair thing to do based upon what's been presented to you? That's why you guys get the big bucks.
Where would we take it out of?
That's up to council. I mean,
Commissioner's
I'd
retirement?
say the highway department, because that's the department he was in, right?
He was, that's
Yeah.
He
right,
was a highway
highway.
guy. I guess to me, if we did that, it'd come out of highway. I'm just,
If you're being consistent, it would come out of highway. You're gonna be consistent.
So how do we determine, shouldn't we check into it? If he's willing to pay that, shouldn't we look into it to make sure that there's no way that he could pay for that? Do you know what I'm saying? That if he's willing to,
Well, I thought you said that,
And
first said he
we
can't
had
pay
to
it.
pay
We
it.
have-
check has to come from us. The check has to come from us, okay.
and I guess
got
there's
it.
always the option of us trying it, but whether they accept it or not is a different story. So,
whether they accept our check?
except his for all of it. I mean, 'cause-
The offer.
right.
I think his share was around 400.
Was it? Okay, I was.
So it's about a third, two-thirds county.
Okay,
and-
okay.
Now, maybe there's a different way that we could do it.
Couldn't he pay the county and then the county pay?
No, I'm thinking of this. I am the, if you want to do it, this is if you want to do this, but I'm the attorney for the county. As a lawyer, I have a state-approved State Bar Association approved, Supreme Court approved trust account. The money is paid into my trust account. I send the remittance to PERF with a cover letter from me saying this is to resolve a prior pension issue between the parties. It's been resolved, and here's the contribution from the parties to pay this, and I send it on out of my trust account. That way, it's not identified as where it's coming from, who paid what of it. That might be worth a try. And tell them this is based upon a resolution of this disputed issue between the county and Mr. Winger, and here's what's been done. He gets this extra year and a half, and here's the X $1,000, X $1,200, whatever it is. And so normally when it's done like that, nobody questions, and the money comes out of the lawyer's trust account, and they assume it was paid by both sides to the agreement.
Right.
That's one way I can see we could do this if we
We're still
wanted.
legal at that point.
Well, you're definitely legal, it's not illegal. And then it might not raise a red flag of them telling the county, then you gotta pay it. It's just a way to get around red
I
tape.
would so move that we do it as recommended by our legal advisor.
Okay, we got a motion?
Second.
We've got a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same. Thank you, Dan.
Okay, and I would just suggest whoever communicates with Matt Winger to have him contact me, give him my contact information, then I'll take care of it and I'll work it out with him.
Okay.
Thank you.
And I might need that email from the PERF as well, so I can have that for my file then, and protect myself.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm not bothering you again.
Huh?
If you want me to call, I'm not bothering you again.
No, that's okay.
Did you have anything? Tom?
At the last meeting, I asked for the people, I forget who was asking for money from the county for the pool, a brick, $75 for a small one, $200. We said we would decide on it, so I just wanted to bring that up, so that's not, if we care to do anything.
Yeah.
I'm not sure we do, but that's my own opinion.
My personal opinion on that is that I'm not sure that that's the proper way to spend taxpayer money at this point. Even though it's $75 or $150 or whatever it is, that's my opinion.
I'd buy one myself,
Yeah,
but I wouldn't spend taxpayer money on it.
So,
yeah.
Yeah.
okay.
Did you say we were asked? I forgot. We were.
Yeah, they gave us a form.
Oh, we got the form.
Yeah.
And I will say it's a darn sight cheaper than the Cherubusco United Methodist Church brick.
Community corrections, today we have 75, 113 in jail. So we're hanging in there. On the claims, it showed that there was 2 bathrooms that needed work by Redmond's. I just want to report that wasn't because of vandalism. It was things that needed, like traps and faucets and dripping, things that needed natural control. Can I make one comment about CETA?
Sure.
Okay, seated, I think the people have done a good job. My only concern is, are we going to, or what's, and maybe you don't know, you probably, maybe you do, maybe you don't, on this countywide sewer project, continue to use the CETA money? And now I know we have said, well, countywide should maybe help people wanting to move here. But we've doubled that, and then we cut on-site, all-site improvements for economic development by 30,000.
the one reason that I cut onsite, offsite was taking that money, I want to pay that trust account off. That was what I was, that's exactly the only place I could see really to take off. And we weren't using the onsite, offsite, and so I kind of transferred that to that health account, Tom, is,
Well, it's always difficult, and I know
Yeah.
this can change, but I would hope that council would kind of step up and help with this countywide sewer thing.
well, and that's,
Because-
Well, we're not gonna have to, let me respond to that one real quick. We shouldn't have to do a whole lot more. We've started this process, and it's my hope that this soon gets turned over to a board, and they're the ones that have to go out and borrow the money or get grants to exist from then on. The county shouldn't really be involved past, I don't want to say including that, but certainly not past that in my mind.
Yeah.
Because by then, they're their own board. And, we don't give any other
yeah,
sewer
we'll
district
we'll
money,
have
so-
appointments for that board.
Yeah, we
but
do.
we
have
won't be
We'll have
responsible.
already by then put in $100,000.
Right, right. But after that, then, and
Well, but, so they will borrow money or be up to them.
grants or borrowing money, and they'll have to work with, like, they'll work with Columbia City Utilities, they'll work with Churubusco Utilities, Tri-Lakes
Fine.
Utility.
I just,
And the-
okay,
There'll be
that'd
a,
be fine.
I'm just telling you, it's not a lingering thing. It is not a lingering thing,
and that will be a fee
Better not
involved
be.
in that, Tom, for
yeah,
I
I
everybody.
know, but,
yeah.
okay.
And you were okay with everything else on
That's
that, or?
all- Yeah, that's all I have. Be interested to see if you get the Humane Society by council, because they didn't think they were paying anything this year. And still, I think they're just thumbing their nose at us because we don't get the report.
Yeah, do we ever get any reports from them?
I asked for one a while back and I don't think
Yeah,
The only thing I'd say about that is if we get a report from them, we should get a report from absolutely everybody that we pay. I mean, I don't know why they'd be different than anybody else, so.
but we've asked for a report, I guess.
Well,
they
yeah,
hadn't
if we
for it.
ask and we don't get it, then we should, okay, forget it. But I can't understand why we do one and we don't do every.
I agree with that,
Whitley
but-
County not concerned citizens, Council on Aging. How do we know they're solvent? We don't.
I see
So-
then, I'll just throw it back this way, I see we're providing a breakfast for the highway. Are we gonna do that with the whole department?
Well,
It's the same thing?
you know it is, but let me tell you what the deal was. I just simply said, I'm gonna make sausage gravy and biscuits for the boys someday. I mean, I didn't know it was that big a deal. That's all I ever said.
Well, I was just comparing it to what you said, it's okay here, but not okay over here.
Well,
That's just what I'm saying, but I
I
dropped it
yeah,
at
I
that,
got
I'm
you.
just
I
saying
got you.
that
Okay.
if we set it, fine, I don't care. My
Yeah.
question statement was, I wonder if the council, because there's a couple of things we
Well,
weren't paying.
it's gotta be up to them.
Yeah,
That-
are you guys okay that if I send this or present this to council tomorrow, that
I am.
we're
I like
okay
it.
with it? Okay.
I like it. I'll make a motion that you take the seat at plan for 2016-17 to council tomorrow.
Okay, we got a motion,
Second.
got a second? Any
With the
discussion?
favorable pass.
With the favorable pass,
I'm
right.
sorry, with
Yep.
the favorable pass, the big deal. Still
Good.
want to second it?
Right.
Okay.
Favorable pass, motion, we got a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand, opposed, the same. Thank you. Did you have anything further,
Thanks.
Don?
Well, it seems like it was forever ago, but I do want to report about the previous caucus that I just went to, August 17th, I didn't just go to it. It was very interesting, it really was. I hope I can remember, I mean, I tried to make notes as much as I can. Essentially, Jeff Turner and Bob Marshall from the regional RDA. What is
Regional
it?
Development Authority.
Okay. Were there. John Sampson, of course, was there, and Michael Galbraith, who he takes care of the RDA. That's his job. Apparently there was, somebody said, we'd like to have them come and answer some questions for us. And they did, and I thought they did an outstanding job. They know, they've heard this, well, Fort Wayne's going to end up with all the money anyway. That's certainly not their thoughts. They hear, you're spending the money too fast, you're not spending the money fast enough. I mean, they're getting it from both sides. So they were interesting to look at. So far, they have granted, and this may have changed from August 17th, I can't tell you for sure, but as of August 17th, they've granted $11 million in grant money that goes towards $87 million in projects. So that was kind of cool. If you have a project, and I don't know that we did, so I'm just saying.
Or not Quessy, but it, down at South Whitley, the,
Amphitheater?
no, well,
No.
that was South Whitley had that.
Yeah.
But we had, as a county, we just had the canoe trail or,
Okay. Well, here's what the RDA said. It sure would be nice if you have a project that when they're going to talk about it, county and city officials be there. Show up. Make yourself present if you're going to talk about a project. So, Tom Wall, who is the chair, had apparently told him previously, your meetings are unannounced, we don't know when they are, and they're always in Fort Wayne, so they are changing that to, meetings will be all over. And they held their most recent meeting in Huntington, Indiana, probably because of Tom Wall, I suppose.
Yes, I would see.
But that's where they met. And then we talked about priorities for legislative. Oh, no, this is, I've got notes all over the place. The RDA, or maybe I should say John Sampson. John Sampson wants to make sure this continues, that it's not just $42 million and we're done. He wants it to continue. He thinks that each county should help support this through their seeded program. You've probably heard that before. So he just threw that out there. Then the most interesting thing I learned that day at the caucus was the Noble County Commissioner said they've got 100 empty beds in their jail. Why doesn't somebody want to bring their prisoners there? I've not heard of a jail with 100 empty beds, but he claims they've got 100 empty beds, and you're more than welcome to bring your people here.
I think LaGrange is the same way. They've got a lot of empty beds,
Jeez. Huh?
but they're new jails.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
trying to.
Sure would be
think
cheaper
of
than building a
their-
jail.
Yeah,
So-
yeah, it would be. They're over, they must be over.
And that's all I had. That was
There's new
just kind of
local counties.
the caucus thing, so.
Well, kind of relating to what you just said on the RDA, I
You
got
probably have newer information.
well, I got a call from Nicole Manier from, and she wanted me to give a little dissertation about what my thought was on the RDA, and I told her, and then it came out in the paper. You know, I feel we were sold a bill of goods, to be honest about it, when they came in and told us that it was going to be matching funds. And do you remember it as matching funds?
Yes.
I remember it as matching funds everybody I've talked to in Whitley County says they remember it as matching funds. Well, and then, I just told her, I said, it doesn't bother me that Fort Wayne is getting a lot of that money because it's a regional authority and Whitley County really does benefit from it. But I still thought that it was something that, we weren't told the truth on. Well, I get a call from John Sampson afterwards, and John told me, he says, well, you guys, you misunderstood what we told you. And I said, John, we didn't misunderstand anything. We were told it was matching funds. It was going to be a 50-50 match, and that's why, and you were in a hurry to do this. You had to have the RDA in place, or the Regional Cities Program in place, and then we had to have the RDA, and it was going to be all fine for all the counties. Well, it wasn't true. You come up with a 20% match now. And so he just kept telling me that I misunderstood, and that's where we left it. I did offer to let him come to the commissioners and council meeting and discuss that if he'd like to tell us that we had misunderstood everything, but he wasn't real, I think somebody dissuaded him about coming and doing that.
He didn't want to come to Whitley County, I don't think.
But I do think it's a good thing. I think the 42 million is a great thing for us, but as
As
a
long as we
region.
understand, we really don't have a dog in the hunt.
Right.
And we didn't ask for a dog to be in the hunt either, I'll say that for us.
But we have two projects within Whitley County,
Yep.
which would benefit the total county.
That's right.
And that's
And
what they say, what is this, improvement of life or whatever they say, or make life more real. And
Yep.
the mayor's trying to do that with his population of 10,000.
Right.
It would help undoubtedly, and I think South Whitley with their
I guarantee-
Don said amphitheater and their
Yeah.
park deal and stuff would probably, because you have Fox Instruments there that wants to bring some big bands in and things, so. That's why they call it Starkyville.
Yeah. Don't you find it odd, though, that we've not been approached by either entity to give the support to it?
Yeah.
Because I would support it. It's for the county. I'd support it, but nobody's ever called and asked us about it, so.
The only other thing I had was, we do have approved, Community Corrections has their advisory board meetings to be approved by us. The dates.
I make a motion, we approve the.
Got a motion?
Second.
Got a second? Any further discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same.
Just
Thank you.
chairman. There you go, sign away.
I was here the whole meeting, it's gonna be extra money this month, boys.
I know.
Yeah.
I'll tell you in January of 2017 what I said.
Thank you.
Then you won't care. You probably don't care now, though, but.
We care, we all care.
Are you playing in the Wheeler Golf Outing?
Nobody invited me, when is it?
Your son was supposed to invite you.
Well, he may, yeah, he's a little, he's slow on those things. I would definitely play in it if I'm invited. I've played in it before.
You said he didn't have a team, you would be on it.
All right, I'll be
You
there
were
then.
paying the entry fee.
I'm always paying the entry fee. I'm always paying the
He
entry fee.
should have the info. If
Okay.
not, you email me,
All right.
I'll make sure it's
all right.
there.
All right, I'll be there.
It's 15th, a week from Thursday.
Okay, for my man Potch, if I'm not there, my money's there.
Perfect.
My
All right.
last one.
Really, that's all we care about anyway.
I assume so.
That's why I just.
That's not true. That's
I'm glad you're honest with it. Yeah.
Anybody have anything else? Motion?
Motion adjourned.
Got a motion? Got a second?
Thank you, man. I left Dawn a message, she could come pick that up with you.
Hey, by the way,
Thank you.
I wanted to go on record, we're done here. I bought lunch today and you were not there, so
Yeah.
don't go crowing.
Well, why don't you just give me $10 and we'll
Just pay me. What a guy.
You never eat for less than $10.
What a guy.
I'll tell you what, next time is mine, but I'll be gone in 2 weeks.